Sunday, June the 1st. The Wrath of the Lamb. Read Revelation 6 verses 12 to 17. Revelation 6 verses 12 to 17. I looked when he opened the sixth seal, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became like blood, and the stars of heaven fell to the earth, as a fig tree drops its late figs when it is shaken by a mighty wind. Then the sky receded as a scroll when it is rolled up, and every mountain and island was moved out of its place. And the kings of the earth, the great men, the rich men, the commanders, the mighty men, every slave and every free man, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? Consider the details of these people's response to seeing last day events suddenly play out. What do you notice about their response? It is interesting to note that the lost are not crying out, What is this? Or who is behind this? They appear to know what is happening. They refer to Jesus as the Lamb, which would require knowing something of the story of Christ. They also seem aware that, quote, the great day of his wrath has come, unquote, and they are caught in a hopeless position. Who is able to stand? Revelation 6:17. And that verse again says, For the great day of his wrath has come, and who is able to stand? Prior to the end, the gospel is carried to every nation on earth, and the three angels' messages are delivered to the entire planet. We are referred here to Matthew 24, verse 14, which reads, And this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in all the world as a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. And yet there will be people who are caught off guard, not for lack of information, but because of their refusal to believe and to obey. This will be the reason that such people are lost in the last days. Read Matthew 24, verses 36 to 44. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, but my Father only. But as the days of Noah were, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away, so also will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then 2 men will be in the field, one will be taken and the other left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and the other left. Watch therefore, for you do not know what hour your Lord is coming. But know this, that if the master of the house had known what hour the thief would come, he would have watched and not allowed the house to be broken into. Therefore you also be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. What lessons does Jesus tell us we should be drawing from the story of Noah? Jesus points to the story of the flood to warn us that his second coming will come as a surprise to many. As with the second coming, the flood did not come as a surprise to the world because of a lack of information. Noah preached for 120 years to a world that refused to believe. All were told what was going to happen. They just didn't believe. Meanwhile, many people assure themselves that the passage of long periods of time means that the prophecies are false. Using the flood story as context, Peter writes, quote, that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. 2 Peter 3, verses 3 and 4. And that passage in full reads, Knowing this first, that scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lusts, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of creation. As each year passes, this sentiment will only grow. In each person's own experience, the second coming of Jesus or in some cases the third coming, is never more than a moment after death, and we all know how quickly life goes by. How might this perspective help us deal with the delay?
June 1. The Wrath of the Lamb. They will call on the rocks and mountains to fall on them, and hide them from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. The wrath of the Lamb, one who ever showed himself full of tenderness, patience, and long-suffering, who having given himself up as the sacrificial offering, was led as a lamb to the slaughter, to save sinners from the doom now falling upon them, because they would not allow him to take away their guilt. The judgment will be conducted in accordance with the rules God has laid down, by the law which men are now called upon to obey, but which many refuse to accept. All will be judged. As by it character is tested, every man will find his proper place in one of two classes. He will either be holy to the Lord through obedience to his law, or be stained with sin through transgression. He will either have done good, cooperating in faith with Jesus to restore the moral image of God in man, or he will have done evil, denying the Savior by an ungodly life. Christ will separate them from one another as a shepherd divides the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep on his right hand and the goats on his left. Then men and women will see that their course of action has decided their destiny. They will be rewarded or punished according as they have obeyed or violated the law of God. A message for today, Advent Review and Sabbath Herald, June 18, 1901, paragraphs 13 and 14. The sins that called for vengeance upon the antediluvian world exist today. The fear of God is banished from the hearts of men, and his law is treated with indifference and contempt. The intense worldliness of that generation is equaled by that of the generation now living. Said Christ, "As in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be." Matthew chapter 24, verses 38 and 39. God did not condemn the antediluvians for eating and drinking. He had given them the fruits of the earth in great abundance to supply their physical wants. Their sin consisted in taking these gifts without gratitude to the giver and debasing themselves by indulging appetite without restraint. Patriarchs and Prophets, page 101. Monday.
And remember, God is always faithful.